let's talk about, well, let's just talk about the seat you're running for.
Sure.
Claudette's record is Claudette's record.
Yes.
You have stats on
Yes.
Claudette's record.
Yes.
Illuminate
So
me on those
there's,
stats.
yeah, so there's a couple of reasons why I decided to run. What Claudette has done when on council was one of the biggest catalysts for me to decide to run. A couple of things, Goodwill came out, and they wanted to do a Goodwill project. I don't know if you remember that. And it was going to be near homes, and it was going to be light industrial. They were going to be doing a lot of processing, bringing in big trucks, all that good stuff. Claudette wanted to not vote, recuse herself, right? And during the meeting, it was explained to her how it works, and she did not recuse herself. But that was the first time where I think I was like, I need someone who wants to represent me and not shy away from a difficult vote. And I think for some reason that was going to be a difficult vote for her.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you, because that's interesting. When it comes to recusal, I really don't know much about it other than what the word means, and not trying to. You explained why the explanation was needed to not recuse. It's after 6. I apologize. It's after 6, okay, folks. But would you have recused you? Oh no, let me rephrase before we get back into stats. Can you think of anything where you would have to say, I, as a sitting member of the council, I will have to recuse myself?
No, I can't think of anything to date that I've seen happen, but also my personality is one that I will go down fighting to not have to recuse myself, especially because we're in districts now, right? So if you're a District 1 council person and you recuse yourself, you've taken the voice away of almost 3,500 households of people who will not be represented. So I can't think of anything I would recuse myself. And if the city attorney came to me like, you got to recuse yourself, and I'd be like, I would want to research every single avenue to not have to do so. Okay. But the second one she recused herself on was, there was an Amber Lane apartment complex, and she recused herself. If I remember correctly, her husband manages a property not far from where the apartments were going to be. And she used that reason. Well, she didn't have to, she chose to. And the other interesting thing to me is when I decided to run, I had to file paperwork, and any money my husband made, we had to report it as part of, like, my husband, his employer's in Brentwood. He makes money from Brentwood. We had to talk about that. I looked through her paperwork and I didn't find any information for her spouse and that he works in Brentwood. So maybe it did happen, but I don't think she had to recuse herself. I think she chose to recuse herself. And I'll get to why I think she chose to. I don't think she had to. And the third time she's done it now is Bridal Gate. Now I have the letter from, and this is Freedom of Information Act. Anyone can ask for this letter. So it's out there. You can just email the city clerk and they'll send it to you. Okay. So the first thing is, it says that, the person who wrote the opinion says, any advice we provide assumes your facts are complete and accurate. And that's where I think my issue is. I feel like one of her points is inaccurate. She says, owns real estate property less than 1,000 feet from the project site. So when you go through this whole letter, she states she lives, I think it's 700 and something feet from the parcel. So I was like, well, parcel is north, that's 700 feet, but the actual project that we're talking about goes to the east, a little bit north above St. Regis. And I use the city map to map a line, a direct line, because you can do that online. And she's 1,044 feet. And I feel like I'm being conservative. I think it's probably a little bit more, but 1,044 feet. So I emailed the gentleman who wrote, Mr. Brainbridge, who wrote this opinion. And he said that the general rule of, and I'm reading this, distance is from one property line to the other property line using the two closest points. So when I talked to him again, the property was farther. She went north straight to parcel. So, but again, he said, anyone can choose to recuse themselves for any reason, right? I don't like that. Especially because we're going to be districts. I don't want to ever give up the voice of the people who voted for me. So those are three instances where I was let down. And I'll be honest, I voted for Claudette. I voted for her. Mm-hmm. And she's nice. Like, I met her and I was like, okay, like, you know, she's new. She's been on 2 years because something happened. And so I was really sad and disappointed to see all of this. And this is recusal subject. And then the subject on oil and gas drillings came up, and on the county property, which is 1,000 feet from homes in Brentwood Hills. The closest home is her next door neighbor. She is the second closest home to the oil and gas drilling project.
Okay.
And we, you know, so I found out about it. I communicated to the, you know, people around town about it. People wanted to get together. I said, okay, well, why don't I have a Zoom? So I scheduled a Zoom, and we got on a call, and she was on the call and never said one thing, like not one. She's on council. I would expect for her to be able to help me. And that she's not bound by the Brown Act in this case, because it is not within city limits. It is outside of city limits. So she could have raised holy heck like I did and been alongside me, because she works for the city. Like, she has all this expertise from working in the city. And she didn't do that.